I am Yuri, and today I thought I'd do something a little different and basically show what my main competitive deck is and some ways to like expand upon it because I was requested to do so by a comment. Anyways, this is Utopia Invoked. It is a deck that I've been working on since Brothers of Legend cards like Utopia Dragonar was announced and this is the current list that basically the current list that I play in real life. Um, of course, there are ways to expand upon it, but I'll go through what I have now and ways I can go on in the future and maybe show some replays here. So, first of all, what does Utopia Invoked do? If you have never seen the Utopia cards, then we'll go over them real quick. ZS Ascend Stage is one of the most powerful Xyz support cards ever printed, I believe. If you control no cards, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you use it to Xyz summon a Utopia monster, that monster can have an effect that allows you to add a rank up magic spell from your deck to your hand. Armed Sage has a similar effect, but its special summon is way less conditional in that you only need one monster that's level 4 on your board, and you can special summon this card from your hand. Using these two, you can go into Utopia with two trigger effects. One that allows you to add a rank up magic, and one that allows you to add a ZW. And you can use those two trigger effects to chain block either one, which will allow you to get basically the thing you need. Usually it's the rank up, but sometimes the Zexa weapon monster is also useful. But that is, of course, if you draw them. Now, the rest of the deck is basically rank 4 Xyz um, materials, you could say. We have, for example, Astro Karibo, which allows you to special summon it out by revealing a number monster, but while it's on the board, you can only summon number Xyz monsters, and the number monster that you summon with this card cannot be destroyed by battle or your opponent's card effects. You can use this to make something cute, like a indestructible Baguska if you need a stall, and if your plays got really messed up. We have the Onomatopoeia engine, which only plays these two cards. You can add in more, but I only play two because that's typically all I find myself needing. Because this engine will take up your normal summon, and that is a little bit scary. So I only run two. But this engine does have something useful in that Onomata Pickup and Onomata Para are very good at baiting your opponent's hand traps or negates, and that is something that this deck really plays around actually. You'll see in the replays. Now finally, of course, the elephant in the room, we have Alistair the Invoker. The Invoked engine, it's a meme. You see it played literally everywhere. Alistair's in here because he is a rank 4. If you normal summon Alistair and special summon Arm Stage, or like special summon Ascend Stage, normal summon Alistair, you have a Utopia, and then you can detach the Alistair and use the detached Alistair in the graveyard as material for your invoked summon. And Alistair is just, good. It is also the only way this deck plays around Nibiru. So if if you're like expecting a Nibiru, if you don't have an Alistair, you can't go, to the ceiling of the deck. Here are those Zexa weapons that you can use with the deck. Tornado Bringer is a Zexa weapon that you can equip from your hand, and it gives the monster 1300 attack, and it cannot be targeted, which is good enough in the current format. Pegasus Twin Saver is a very unique card. So it has a monster negate, but its monster negate works weird. So typically, imperm or like Baron the Floor or whatever negate that you are familiar with will work in a way where you basically chain your negate to your opponent's monster effects, and it will create a chain link. However, Pegasus Twin Sabers is a negate that does not create a chain link. I believe it is an unclassified effect that you can just apply on resolution of an opponent's chain link. So suppose your opponent activates pot of not pot of greed. Suppose your opponent activates, say, Alistair the Invoker's effect, right? And then I will Ash Blossom the Alistair. So Chainlink 2, Ash Blossom. And then your opponent, Chainlink 3, uses Called by the Grave for the Ash Blossom. And then you let that resolve. So Chainlink 3 will negate the Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom will not negate the Alistair. Then on Chainlink 1, you can say on resolution, not on resolution, but before you resolve the effect of your Alistair, I will use Pegasus Twin Saber to negate it. And your opponent can do nothing to stop Pegasus Twin Sabers because its quote unquote effect is being applied on resolution of a chain. So it's a very unique negate that stops a lot of things, and it's amazing. There's also Zexal Weapon Eagle Claw, which is like Twin Sabers, but it is a mandatory negate of the first trap card or effect that is activated on your opponent's field. This card comes in handy if you know you're playing against like a trap deck, like suppose Eldritch or something. But currently it is not really that big of a deal. Now note that this card can in fact negate spell speed 3. So if your opponent activates a Solemn card and Eagle Claw is on your board, Eagle Claw will negate that Solemn, and your opponent will have to pay the cost. Uh, Now here's a card that I've been thinking about playing, but I haven't really like tested it that much. Astrotopia is an amazing support card for the ZS like cards, but Astrotopia is a little bit of a brick, but I'm experimenting with ways to incorporate it. Now that you like, I guess now that you know that like what the deck does, we'll go over card by card, even though I've already gone over them. We have 5 kaijus because I found that 5 kaijus is the optimal number of kaijus to where you typically will see 1 kaiju in your hand, but not 2 kaijus. Of course, sometimes you do see 2 kaijus, in which case you just cry. I chose the 2 light kaijus because you can use light kaijus with Alistair to make Mechaba. You have the Zaxel weapons, the Onomatopoeia, the Alistairs, the Sages, Astrotopia, Astral Karibo, I already explained those. Onomatopoeia requires you to send a card from your hand to grave as cost to add 2 Automat cards. Typically, you want to use this if you are really down bad and cannot find anything else and you need to rely on your Automat cards. Rhoda searches the Sages. Zexal Construction is pretty cute. So it allows you to shuffle back a card from your hand and then like, well, no, first you get to add the card, basically any card from the Zexal Sage, Zexal archetype, including the rank up, and then shuffle the revealed card back into your deck, and both of these effects are good. Hyper Rank Up Magic Utopia Force is a card that was released recently, and this card is literally the reason why this deck works. So basically, you target any Utopia monster, literally any Utopia monster, and you summon a rank 10 or higher Utopia monster. And the target in the deck is Utopia Dragonar. And then, if a Xyz monster is special summoned by the effect of a rank 10 or higher Utopia monster, so perfect for Dragonar, then you can attach this card to one of those summoned monsters, which is what Dragonar does. Anyways, we have one invocation. I consider running two invocation, but two invocations are a little too bricky for the deck. And the deck already has bricks. Magical Mallet will shuffle back the bricks because the bricks are really detrimental to the deck. You'll see in a second. Automata pickup is, to search this. Magical Meltdown for Alistair and Imperm. So here are the bricks. Double or Nothing, the two Zexal weapons, and a rank up magic. Well, rank up magic is kind of a brick. What happens if you draw Double or Nothing or these two bricks? Or this actually. So if you draw Hyper Rank Up Magic Utopia Force, you cannot chain block with Ascend Sage. It's not that big of a deal if you draw this, so this card is usually live actually. If you draw Pegasus Twin Sabers, you cannot equip Pegasus Twin Sabers using the Utopia monsters effects, unless you use Dragonic Utopia Ray, which is very bad because you want this card on your board. Tornado Bringer is playable if it's in your hand, so it's not that bad. But the worst part is Double or Nothing. If you have Double or Nothing in your hand, you cannot use the effect of Utopia Double because it requires you to add Double or Nothing from your deck to your hand. And the whole point of Zexal Construction and Magical Mallet is to shuffle back Double or Nothing. If you draw this card, you will have a very bad time. In the extra deck, we have two Mikaba. One of the Mikabas is honestly just to send off of not Invoked, Dogmatica stuff. But you can cut it down to one Mikaba and run something else. We have Zeus because it's an Xyz deck. Dragonar. Dragonar you'll see in action. This card is insane. It allows you to cheat stuff out. Zombiestein is cheated out using Dragonar, and if you attach rank up magic to Zombiestein, you have a on-field Omni Negate. Utopia the Lightning is for emergency situations where you need to beat stuff over. Ultimate Leo Utopia Ray is a very good card. Attach an Xyz material to add a no, not to add, to equip a Zexal weapon from your deck or extra deck. I'm not running the extra deck Zexal weapons, so its target is Pegasus Twin Saber. And once per turn, quick effect, you can target a monster on the field and negate it and have its attack. So if you have a Ultimate Leo Utopia Ray on the board and you equip with a Pegasus Twin Saber, it's basically a targeted negate and a on resolution negate, which is kind of very good. It's this card alone makes basically the Sword Soul opening board, right? Dragonic Utopia Ray is not as good, but if you use it turn 2 and you equip your two Zexal weapons to it, it can target negate two cards your opponent controls. So that's pretty good. C39 Utopia Ray is for ranking up Utopia to make extra materials for Dragonar. We run two Utopia because one Utopia has to be used to go into, all the other stuff. The other Utopia is for situations where you need to make another one to go into, say, Utopia to Lightning, or to go for like a turn 3 or 4 OTK using a Utopia double. You can also run Utopia Beyond as material as a summon off of Utopia Dragonar, but it hasn't come up for me, so it's whatever. Baguska for if you absolutely failed everything and you just need to stall. Exciton Knight is a good board breaker and decent emergency situation card. Abyss Dweller is Abyss Dweller, and Utopia Double uh, has a quick effect that allows you to tag itself out, and it will come up, and I will show you in the videos. Anyways, this is the basic Utopia deck. If you want to make some innovations, this is basically the core of the deck. These are the cards that are required. You can cut the kaijus, but the kaijus are insanely good at board breaking, and will allow you to get the OTK off because you can OTK your opponent over a Kaiju with the turn 2 plays that this deck has. You can cut the magical mallets and instead put like, I don't know, more consistency tools. Like you can put a pot card, you can put small world. You can actually use small world with this deck using the kaijus as like bridges basically. So you can like, discard whatever light monster you have and then reveal a, like banish face down or whatever a kaiju, which will allow you to bridge into literally any of your combo pieces. And yeah, that's the deck. You can also I don't know, side deck like solemn cards if you're going first. Anyways, we'll go into some replays. I only played against the what's it called? The bot, but it does like showed it off the deck really well. So here we will be I believe going first. With this hand, you can see it's got a lot of search things. But before you activate any of these continuous cards, you have to summon the Ascend stage because if it only works if you control no cards, which, telegraphs what the deck is playing. But thankfully, nobody in the game knows how to play against Utopia, so it doesn't really telegraph that much. Alright, anyways, now it's the games because we have 3 search cards to bait out the Ash Blossom right here. And what do we want? Well, I think we want Magical Meltdown to go off. So we're going to use Automata Pickup as a bait, which works. So we're going to go for the Meltdown. Normal Summon Alistair. He imperms that, which is fine. Not ideal, but it's playable. So now I feel like my opponent has no more hand traps because he Ash Blossomed the Automata Pickup, but didn't like do anything to the Alistair with like Effect Veiler or something. Just imperm that shit. So here we're gonna go into Utopia, Utopia Ray, and go for the rank up into Dragonar, detach 2 for Leo, equip, Leo's effect to equip, and pass. I don't know why I went with Tornado Bringer, but you should be equipping Pegasus Twin Saber off of this. I think it was a misclick. Anyways, we're gonna negate the Alistair with this. He has Invocation because he's the best player in the game. We'll just give him the Kaiju, negate this thing, and then you can go for game from here, basically. Yeah, so once you get your board established, the whole point of the deck is if your opponent cannot out your monsters, you want to starve your opponent out of resources, because Leo and Pegasus Twin Sabers are once per turn that do not require a cost, so you can keep activating them over and over and over again. 2 negates every turn will starve out any like non-explosive deck. If your opponent does play through it, then if your opponent managed to break this board, you're fucked. You will lose the game basically. But if they can't, you will win the game by starving them out. Maybe the next turn or the turn after that will be your win. Next up, let's look at interactions. So I don't remember what happens here. This hand, you drew the Utopia Force. You want to shuffle it back with Zexal Construction. Here we go. So this is an interaction. This is why we don't go into Utopia first, even though like Utopia double is technically kind of wasted here. But and usually if your opponent doesn't have hand traps, you would go immediately into Utopia and then rank up that Utopia. But here I chose to go into the Utopia double because I think they have a hand trap, which they did. And here, Utopia double will activate its will activate its effect, but then They will imperm it. Imperm is a targeted negation, and so is effect viewer. So we can chain the Utopia double to the imperm, which will allow us to special summon into Utopia. The impermanence will lose its target and allow the effect of Utopia double added off of a Sensage's effect. Not a Sensage's effect to resolve, basically. So this is why you sometimes will go into Utopia double just to play around hand traps. We'll go rank it up, and then rank up into Dragonar, and then establish our ultimate board, basically. Pegasus Twin Saber, Tornado Bringer. Notice this card is now double negate and cannot be targeted by effects. And Dragonar can reduce the attack point of monsters that attack to 0. So this card is kind of like unkillable unless your opponent has Lightning Storm or something. So here we go into the triplet. Here's a cool little thing. So Utopia, Leo Utopia Ray is always considered a Utopia Ray. So if your opponent called by the grave your Utopia Ray, they can negate the effect of Leo. It doesn't really matter in this duel though. Here we have Lady Debug. I negate that with Twin Sabers. I don't care about Sanctuary. He can go ahead and activate Sanctuary. And that Salamangreat hand doesn't do anything. So here we're just gonna attack over everything and attack for game. Next up, let's take a look at OTK. So this, we showed off what the deck can do on the draw, which is make 2 negates and an Omni negate in the form of Zombie Stein and whatever face down you have, and then attempt to starve out the opponent. Here in OTK, we see what the deck does on the draw. I said on the draw twice. On the play, I meant on the last one. So here, we're gonna have Salad go off. The NPC Salad is literally popping off. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't keep going though. I'm not sure, but here they max seed, and the first thing we want to do is bait out the Ash Blossom, which we do with Automata Pickup, and then I go into Meltdown. Normal summon the Alistair, go for the Ascend Sage, go into Utopia double. Now I know that Salad right here doesn't have much because they didn't, add the roar. I'm not gonna play around the opponent setting the roar here. So I'm just gonna go off into the combo for the OTK, and if they do have something, I will immediately lose the game. But no big deal. I am playing around, these things, because I know Salamangreats will profit off of you sending their monsters to the graveyard, for example, with the effect of Gazelle. So, I'm not gonna send anything to the graveyard. I'm just gonna kill him. We're gonna double, go into Utopia, and with this, equip, attack, double or nothing, attack, and that is a lot of damage. You can OTK through a Kaiju using that. Alright, next up, we have Alternate Go second. So suppose you're afraid or you can't go for the OTK. What can the deck do in that case? Yeah, we're just gonna see NPC bot do salad plays. He does have 2 roars and a judgment. What the actual fuck? Not roars, that's a rage. What the hell am I doing? Wait, where did the rage come from? Oh, he sent it. So yeah, here we have roar. So he said 4. I'm playing against salads, right? So I have to play around the roar if he said 4. Well, so what I did there was I Jizukiru'd the Link monster, which will turn off the roar. You know that, roar only works if your opponent if you have a Link monster. So I got rid of the Link monster. Next, I tried to bait out whatever negates they have on the Rhoda because I already have Ascend and Arm Sage in hand. My hand is literally perfect. There's nothing that can go better. So now this is the baiting game. Will Rhoda, and he Judgments that, which is perfect. And then I Meltdown to bait. I summon this before going to Meltdown to bait out any other negates. At this point, I'm pretty sure, because he did negate Alistair, that they have no more negates. So I'm gonna go into... I can go for the OTK here, but, you know, 3 face down, that's not really safe. So we're just gonna go into the full combo with Dragonar. Called by the Graves, Utopia double out of spite, I guess. And here, you know, equip everything, negate the Kaiju, and then it still ends up being an OTK, but that's the safe play. Anyways, I think that will be it for this video. I don't really know how to make deck list videos interesting and stuff, but this is the deck that I've been playing and I've been experimenting with. There's a lot of ways to make it better, but I am limited by budgetary concerns. It's alright though. You can try to have some fun with some Utopia OTK and Dragonar and stuff. Notice that this deck is only viable in the current format in the TCG because the TCG decks are not especially unfair in that they only put up like 2 or 3 negates usually. And this deck can play through 2 or 3 negates. And on the play, this deck can put up some monster negates, which is often enough. So that's it for this video. And see you guys later, I guess. Goodbye.